So, Alex, as the day approaches, I am, and I'm sure many people watching are excited for this exhibition. But for anyone that's not familiar with it, can you just give us some details?
Well, this is Clash of Empires, the 1879 Anglo-Zulu War, an exhibition that is artifact driven, over 500 historical and cultural artifacts related to this tremendous history that leads us from the early 19th century and the formation of the Zulu people and a nation all the way to the present day. And in the middle, and most significantly, was a military conflict that took place between the British and colonial authorities and the Zulu kingdom, led by King Cetshwayo.
So, what kind of items can we expect to see? Because I know that this is at the Royal Philatelic Society. We should expect to see postal history items, stamps, but I take it that there's more 3D artifacts as well.
It ranges from every type of object that would be part of the way that people interact, especially as it comes to nature of war. So from uniforms, weapons, communication items like letters, documents, telegrams, and so forth, to photographs, other items that are from watercolors, sketches done by soldiers, all sorts of items related to the Zulu uniform, as it were, weapons, and so forth.
Is that common for the Royal Philatelic Society or any philatelic society to go ahead and showcase items that go beyond postal ephemera, covers, stamps? Or is this uncommon? Is this unusual?
This is the first in its over 150-year history major museum exhibition that focuses on the postal as it radiates out and touches every other aspect of physical, historical, and cultural artifacts related to a story and narrative, in our case, Anglo-Zulu history and the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879. But it is a first of its kind for this longstanding society, which one may think of as just focusing on stamps and letters and envelopes. This is how philately and postal history can touch any field, and we're going to show that in a major way through this exhibition.
So I've always had an interest in Zulu history, Zulu culture, and the Anglo-Zulu War. I've gone to several of the battlefields, really enjoyed studying that as a historical topic. What is the focus and appeal for you regarding this piece of history?
It's captured the imagination of people for over 140 years, and there are multiple elements to it. First is that it was a war initiated by the colonial authorities without the permission of the home government in the UK. And in their push and rush to instigate this war, found themselves in a situation where, and as a mechanized, or for its day, a mechanized force with single-shot Martini Henry rifles, was defeated in an open field battle at Isandawana Mountain by a Zulu army. And it's one of the very few examples in the 19th century where a European force is completely defeated, and the winning side did not have a written language and take time to walk around the field to figure out, oh, well, here's where the enemy was, and here's where we were. And so 144 years later, there's still debate and questions and trying to understand exactly what happened in this multi-mile long, very, very large battlefield that ended up being international news and really reverberating far, far away from Southern Africa in 1879 when the Zulus defeated the British at that battle. And then from the British perspective, in this one day, January 22nd, 1879, where they have this tremendous defeat and this tremendous victory for the Zulus at Isandawana in the morning to the early afternoon, a smaller portion of the Zulu army that was present and participating in that battle crossed over the border from Zululand into the Natal colony and attacked a mission station called Rorke's Drift, named after its original owner and builder, Jim Rourke, but owned at the time by a Swedish mission. And there were about 140 British soldiers there, many of them as part of a hospital, and so injured and sick for varying reasons, and just one company of the 24th Regiment. And knowing that their much more significant force as part of the invasion many miles into Zululand had been, as far as they knew, completely wiped out, they decided, instead of going into the open field and abandoning their post, hearing that that the Zulus could very well be invading the colony and coming after them, they decided to hunker down. And two officers, John Chard and Gonville Bromhead, most famously in the 20th century popular culture, played by Stanley Baker and Michael Caine in the movie Zulu, decided to make a defense of this small mission station at Rorke's Drift, this supply station for the army. And so in the same day that the British, from their perspective, suffered one of their greatest defeats, they also had one of their most incredible underdog victories, because over a 12-hour period of time, these 140 British and colonial soldiers held out against approximately 4,000 Zulus.
So can we expect to see some of those artifacts from around this war, especially Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift?
The exhibition has a very large range of artifacts, but there are the core of them, a few hundred, are specifically related to that couple months leading up in 1878, when the war begins in 1879 in January, through the capture of Kinkachweo by British forces in August of 1879, including 12 regimental Zulu War 1879 period shields, spears and knobkerrie clubs of that period, uniform from tunics of British soldiers to a helmet worn by a British officer through the entire war, a large range of letters and postal artifacts of soldiers and officers writing from the conflict, describing and talking about different elements and battles that they were a part of and what they're seeing and what they're doing. So it's meant to be a three-dimensional experience, to be able to attempt through these artifacts to follow this tremendous story. And I've just laid out just a few of the elements of what really makes it really exceptionally compelling to this very day. And even 144 years later, just 10 days ago, the Zulu King hosted a commemoration event for the 144th anniversary of their victory at Isandlwana, and there were British representatives there. And so their history, the Zulus and the British, are forever connected through this war, and war is tragic, and it dramatically and in a very damaging way directed the course of history for the Zulu people in a way that it certainly would not have if there had never been this conflict. But it happened, and our understanding of it and what it means and how it impacted way beyond Southern Africa and just the Zulus and the British there is really the essence of what we're trying to get at here. Other most important thing of this exhibition is that the Anglo-Zulu War, though it finishes in 1879, that's not the end of the story for the Zulu people. They have another 144 years to the present of continuous culture and engagement, and also resistance to British and colonial rule, that we're also going to talk about and show through a continuous range of artifacts, again, from two-dimensional postal artifacts and photographs to three-dimensional artifacts, leading all the way up into the 20th century, from letters written by follow-on Zulu kings in the early 20th century to other items related to soldiers that were there in the late 19th century, early 20th century, to beadwork and basketry and wood-carved milk pails and spoons, and all the other beautiful cultural artifacts made by the Zulus in the 20th century, and about how they lived their lives and continue to live their life today in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa.
So does somebody need to be familiar with Zulu history and Zulu culture, or a collector of something related in the space, to enjoy the exhibition?
It doesn't matter what your collecting interest is, what your study interest is, what really kind of gets you going in terms of something to explore, whether you know a lot about South African history or Zulu cultural history or Victorian military history or anything in between or not. It doesn't matter. This exhibition is about understanding people and conflict and culture, and trying to look at how historical artifacts, many of which are just an older version of what we use today in our clothing and how we communicate and how we interact with each other. This is really about humanity and how humanity interacts and engages for good and for bad in the past, and how it still has connections to the present day. So anyone is really welcome, and will find something for themselves that will connect to their interests.
This must have taken you a long time to put together, right?
It's been a 25-year long journey for me, and this exhibition's been underway in planning for 8 years by the time it takes place.
That just makes it even more special. So I'm looking forward to going. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, but I'm also looking forward to exploring these artifacts and learning more about this fascinating and important part of history.
The exhibition is open to the public from July 1st to July 31st, the entire month of July, Monday through Saturday from 9:30 in the morning to 4:30 p.m. It is free admission, so come and enjoy, take it in. We're going to have docents available to answer questions and guide guests and visitors through the exhibition. This is really an extraordinary opportunity to see the most cultural and historical artifacts related to this tremendous history in a free to the public museum exhibition right in the City of London, hosted at 15 Abchurch Lane, the Royal Philatelist Society London's museum. We look forward to seeing you there.